Welcome back to CBS 4K, and this is Total War Pharaoh, Dynasties, Aegean? Yeah, Aegean. We'll go with Aegean. So, last time you guys really showed up. You got a nice number of views, nice number of likes to it. Thank you so much. And if it keeps going like this, on the day of its release, I might do a playthrough of Dynasty. Well, not a whole playthrough. I might play it for a bit and put it up on the channel. I don't know if I want to live stream it. Put it in the comments if you want me to live stream it. But I do recognize that a lot of people who watch my channel don't like live streams. They kind of like Let's Plays because they're easier bites to digest than a big old live stream that lasts 12 hours. I'm not going to do a 12-hour live stream. I'm probably just going to do an hour long. To tell you the truth, I don't like to play a game for multiple hours. I feel like that's incredibly dangerous for our own mental health and stuff like that, because you're focusing on a task for too long, and you should probably delineate and focus on other things too, because you have other things in your life going on. You can't just play a video game for 12 hours unless you get paid reasonably for it. But I digress. We're going to talk about this new video starting right now. Certainly I got rid of naval battles for this game.
Homer's Iliad describes the Trojan War in epic poetry. But what really happened? I'm Steve Coleman, joined today by Fodor Nikolov, defining our own Aegean.
Yeah, that's better. That's better, Nikolov.
Oh, right, Mycenaean. We know these guys. How do they play?
The Mycenaeans are led by Agamemnon, and they're all about conquest and expansion. They're extremely adept at pacifying conquered territory.
I do like the map. Look down here. It looks very nice. Go back to what he was saying. I wasn't paying attention.
Extremely adept at pacifying conquered territories. They also have
That's good to know, because a lot of times when you conquer a new territory, it's sort of has a chance to rebel against you for a certain number of turns. They fixed that for the newer Total Wars, but the older ones, it depends on how large your population was. The best way to deal with that would be to do terrible things to the populace, but we'll see how they'll address it.
Benefits for their buildings from when their high influence is achieved. So when you conquer territories and you pacify them, you quickly make them more efficient than other factions would. In addition to that, their command grants them access to instantly recruited units and ancillaries that scale with the level of the faction leader. So when you get your faction leader to a high level, you can instantly buff their army, which will help them get out of tight spots.
Okay, it sounds to me like they'd be a good fit for the Atreus Ancient Legacy.
Yes, quite right. The Atreus Ancient Legacy allows you to literally dominate over your enemies, because when you complete different objectives against them, you gain this dominance resource, and
dominance resource, interesting.
Then you can spend it in diplomacy to boost the probability of your deals being accepted, strong arm them. You can also...
Really? That is a nice way to make diplomacy less of a slog. Because in most Total War games, I'm going to be honest with you, diplomacy is horrible. And in case you're new and you don't really know, diplomacy is horrible. You don't know why they told you no, they just told you no. And you're like, yeah, let's have an alliance. And you're fighting the same person. Like, nah, I don't want an alliance with you. Okay, how about a trade deal? Nah, I don't want a trade deal. Like, why not? No, just no. That's my answer. Like, what? That doesn't make any... It's sort of that logic of them not really... how would I put this? Of the other side not giving in to your demands. And sometimes your demands are just simple as a trade deal. And they just refuse to do that. And other times it's complex as setting up an alliance. An alliance doesn't work because they don't like you for some reason. In Total Warhammer, it's a little bit more on the table, showing you what it's about. It's less obtuse, abstracted, and you know what's going on. They'll tell you why they don't like you. You raided their area, you declared war on their allies, or something like that, and it has a negative thing on your likability factor with them. It was a good way to solve it, but I think this might be a better way to solve it, where if you do more acts of power and threats, you can just essentially bully weaker factions, because let's be honest, who wouldn't want a trade deal with a much larger faction who's capable of killing you, just taking your lands, great deal of sense here.
So spend it instead of regard in the court to achieve various doctrine intrigues over there, and you can also use it as legitimacy. So this ancient legacy is actually use it as legitimate.
Okay, so army wages, elite war request permission to create elite war units available to hold.
You can also use it as
ensure that a single unit have its recruitment costs for this. Okay.
Legitimacy. So this ancient legacy is actually the representation of the warlord who has proven his worth and now is using his prestige to achieve his goals.
They sound like they worship Ares or Zeus, maybe. Who else do we have though? We've got Poseidon, Zeus, Ares, Apollo, and Aphrodite. And you can perform hecatombs for them? What are they?
Yes, hecatombs are a quirk of the Aegean pantheon of the gods. It's something that happens only with the Aegean gods. And a hecatomb is a sacrifice that you need to spend food to enact. Every time you perform a hecatomb, all of your...
Okay, so it's like performing an act. This is based on the Troy factions. It's Ares. Okay, recruitment cost, Troy's bonus. Oh, this is pretty good. Happiness.
That you need to spend food to enact. Every time you perform a hecatomb, all of your generals receive the effects of a prayer to the particular god, as if though they have visited a shrine, which means, again, a boost across all of your armies, depending on the gods that you're performing this sacrifice to.
I feel like Troy would worship Apollo. Just feels about right for me. Priam, though, that's unexpected. What other surprises are the Trojans hiding for us?
Yes, we've got Priam and also his son, his sons Hector and Paris as playable characters.
Really?
Priam is quite, experienced and a powerful character, especially in the beginning of your campaign. But it also makes.
So these are like the Troy. Okay, that's what they mean by G. Okay. I wasn't like a student of the Bronze Age of history. I was more like a 20th century history buff of the world. But yeah, this is interesting.
It's a lot of sense for you to level up Hector and Paris, because at some point Priam will die and the crown will likely pass to some of them or to another person that you choose. Trojans are all about diplomacy. They have various ways to increase their diplomacy standing. They also benefit from having foreign influence in their lands, because the presence of foreign people provides them with income of gold, and it also debuffs any armies that dare to march against the holy city of Troy.
Okay, so the Persius ancient legacy is probably more in line with Troy. Can you tell us a little bit more about that one?
Yes, it very much fits this sort of a master diplomat profile that the Trojans have. In the ancient legacy of Perseus, first of all, it grants you the ability to globally recruit units from any point on the map, and these are not only units from your roster, but also from the units of any allies that you might have, military, defensive, or even vassals. You gain access to their rosters as well. The more allies you have and the bigger allies you have, the more you have of the unity resource, and the more unity resource you have, the better the global recruitment you can do. In addition to that, as another source of unity, you can conduct games where you spend ancillaries to invite factions, and you gain a bit of unity. You also get some economic resources, and in addition to that, you enforce peace between all participants and yourself. but be careful with that. Be mindful of the cooldown and also the fact that you need ancillaries to start the games in the first place.
That's so useful. You get like nice buffs. You shut down a war that's brewing in your area, or yeah, that's good. I also like the unity. I like the fact there is features in here, and they feel different from the other factions that we've been introduced so far. They have like a different sort of campaign currency, campaign what you call it? Thingamajiggy. Yeah, that's a technical term. They have different campaign things that they need to get done in the campaign. Like, it's about war and about conquering, but it's also in the Trojans are more about having a peaceful sort of a peaceful empire. Yeah, I'll put it that way. I like that. A peaceful empire versus most of the other, the other factions we've introduced. But I digress. Let's go back to them.
Okay, well, it's a good thing Priam starts as the Wanax then. So, how is a Wanax different from a Pharaoh or Hittite Great King?
The Wanax is mainly different due to the royal powers that the Wanax has at his disposal. One of those is war games, another type of games. The Mycenaeans must have been loving games. And you initiate these war games to increase your unit's experience. Another very useful power, especially as the Bronze Age collapses around you, is remote colonization. You target an empty settlement, a raised one, and you will instantly colonize it. Of course, there are limitations to this, but there is range.
They had that in Total War Troy as well. I forgot what faction could do it, but they had that there too.
You can't instantly colonize a settlement on the other side of a campaign map, at least not at first. You need to have vision over the settlement as well. So it is technically possible to colonize a settlement in Egypt from Troy, but it will take quite a bit of preparation and particular leveling up of your Wanax powers.
There we are, a familiar culture, another 7 total playable factions, new ancient legacies, gods and thrones to contend with. But the passing of Priam leaves a vacuum in the Aegean. Who will fill it? Join us next time as we look at Dynasties.
Okay, so we're going to look at Dynasties next time. That should be interesting. Alright. Thank you so much for stopping by. Leave a comment in the comment section. And I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And any little bit helps. And you hitting that subscribe button, if you haven't already, is a huge help. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.